Good evening. My name is Tod Marshall, and I teach poetry writing at Gonzaga University. From 2016 to 2018, I served as the Washington State Poet Laureate. It was my pleasure to serve as the judge for this year's Poetry Ourselves contest. Uh, it's always wonderful to see the talent of the young writers of the state on display. I found all of the poems to show attention to image, attention to figures of speech, attention to the sounds of poetry. And so it was a delight to see how these works both showed emotion and craft. There were two poems that I picked as honorable mentions, In Betweens. It was a poem driven by vivid images. My self-focus wanes with the moon. Um, Invites us to feel the speaker's emotion as well as see the world around the speaker. It had a great simile in it. The rain folds like new linen. That stuck with me. And there's also attention to sound. The end shows us connection. A generation soliloquy as a political energy behind us, which is something really important to grapple with in this historical moment. The end of the poem says, I am human, I am president, and America is my VP. I love that sentiment of coming together of the country in a time where that seems so difficult.
One. I set aside the days between Christmas and New Year's to tie up my loose ends into little satin bows. Backlogged applications and revelations in all their trending, begging glory. The rest of my life on which I have somehow fallen behind. On the 28th, I wear the dinner party's chocolate brown tights until 10 o'clock, just in case you call, preserving the slightest chance of spontaneity or the mere dignity of not dressing for the occasion. My self-focus wanes with the moon. 2. Driving towards the bridge, the road folds like new linen. The pronounced divot in a carefully poised pillowcase. Gray water pooling, fallen half-heartedly this afternoon as something resembling snow. Driving 20, not to be good, to be slow. To revel in the waterworks and pretend for a loud, long moment that these are summer rains again. 3. If you asked to see inside me, I'd show you my collection of internet videos of songwriters pouring their hearts out to a few soft chords. I'd lie that I would have written my own if they hadn't first found the words, and hide the bloated notebook, its musings packed like wet sugar. Anyways, you don't ask to see inside me anymore. Instead, I bring what I can to the surface and find that nothing is distinct. The half-done puzzle on the coffee table, which only ever holds such things. Thick lavender air from drying laundry. Marks of sketched wood grains bleeding through these pages. The pinprick longing, the blue. 6 or 7 poems stacked and tipping under the black trench coat of this uncertainty. Wait long enough, and they'll spill out and separate and melt into the earth, as they always do.
I'm going to be president. Is this pedantic to say I'm going to be president? Tomorrow, if I worm my way into a miracle. I see your eyes, but quantify who better qualified than I? Who more realistically representative? I am your country's creation, the very prototype of our future. Amending reality with potential, I am a culmination of all of you. A byproduct of sacrifice, my existence, a vehicle of justice. A homeless boy from the streets of Chicago, turned doctor, turned father, a driven girl from the suburbs of Nashville, turned doctor, turned mother. I held my friend in my arms, convulsive and vulnerable, as she begged me to understand, no, to make her comprehend. The question were centuries of contemplation. Why me? Why any of us? Why not me? I testify. I stood in court and I fought for a kid who I would never see again, whose name and face will probably be shed from memory, like the hair from my first dog, like the contents of my first poem. I am going to be president, not because I am perfect, but because I am exactly what democracy, what Locke and Madison and Hamilton beg of me. Popular sovereignty gasps for air alongside me. I am human. I am president. And America is my VP.
The winning poem, after sharing those two honorable mentions with you, I wanted to say a few things about the winning poem. The recipe was driven by really amazing detail, attention to images, the understanding of the writer that poetry can take on many forms. The sonnet, an amazing historical construction, but poetry in 2023 sometimes finds different vehicles of expression. We have vegetables, we have gestures like slicing and measuring and drizzling. But the poem is not just about making soup. The poem recognizes that any recipe, any food that one takes in that's made with care is an act of love. And the carrots and tomatoes of the poem were vividly rendered. But I think the most powerful aspect of the poem was its depiction of love. Soups get eaten, but love endures. And this poem captured that magnificently.
How to Make Tomato Soup for Your Family, Feeds 4, by Luca Artz. Step 1. Go to the market and get your ingredients. You'll need a pound of heirloom tomatoes, 1 sweet onion, 1 tablespoon of kindness, a clove of garlic, 2 large carrots, 1 bell pepper, and 1 large patience. Step 2. Pick a knife large enough to cut the tomatoes and small enough to still fit in the palm of your kid's hand. Cut the tomatoes in half. Step 3. Drizzle olive oil in a pan and put the tomatoes in it. Delegate tasks. You don't have to do everything yourself. That's what family is for. Step 4. Mince the garlic and dice the onions. Step 5. Tell your child you love them, even if they're screwing up the onions. Step 6. Cut the carrots and pepper into chunks. Realize you forgot to tell your kid to wash their hands. Step 7. Put everything in the pan. You didn't preheat the oven. It's okay to make mistakes. Step 8. Layer olive oil and spices. Tell your kid you love them, just because. Your kid will remember this when they're leaving for college. Step 9. Put it in the oven. Don't worry if you put it in a little too long and the carrots get dry. You're just going to blend it all up anyway. Step 10. Don't get mad at your kid. They've never done this before. Tell them you love them because they'll remember it. You want them to remember it. Step 11. Take it out when everything gets soft. It's okay to be a little soft sometimes. Step 12. Put it in a blender and blend until smooth. Serve with a drizzle of olive oil and a sprinkle of fresh cream or Parmesan. Step 13. Eat it with a spoon and a heart full of love. Your kid is leaving, but they'll remember you.
As I said earlier, it's a wonderful honor to read these poems, and I hope that all of the poets are very proud of their work, and I congratulate the three winners especially.